Hi everybody, my name is Bookie and I'm here for the Good Eve channel. And today we're going to be exploring a little bit of a sad topic for many of us in the market today, the investment market in Nigeria today. It's about agro-partnerships. So on December 16th or 15th thereabout, they failed to meet their commitments to repay investors who had bought slots in their in some of their farm crowd-funded investments. So they have these pools of investments. Maybe you buy into a rice farm or a cassava farm or a chicken farm. You get to be a digital farmer. And what they do is then they offer you a return on investment. Some as high as 40%, 30%, 35%, sometimes 25%. And they give you like a timeline. So maybe 4 months, maybe 6 months. Some are 8 months long, and then they give you your payout. You get it into your wallet, and then you decide you want to cash out your wallet, and voila, there you go. You've gotten your money and your investment and your capital and the interest, and it's so far been a sweet farming deal. Well, they have not been able to pay out any investors pretty much since the 16th of December. And unfortunately, the information coming out from them is zero. We don't know what's going on. We don't know why they're not paying. We don't know what's causing this cash crunch. And as at today, it's been over a month. As at the recording of this video, it's been over a month since they've been paying. In fact, their platform is not working. It's not responding. And so a lot of us who have invested in agro-partnerships have been really, really, really concerned. Now, full disclaimer, I don't currently have any money in agro-partnerships. I invested them in them last year, and my farms, I did a chicken farm and a rice farm, I think, and they matured in April. So I was able to get fully paid by them, and my farms offered me 40% for I think a 6-month investment, and it was really nice. It came just in time for me to pay out that money to my children's school for school fees. So I got to give it away, but I was able to, and they've been around for about 4 years. Agro-partnerships has been really reliable during that period. I think they had a little bit of a sticking point in 2020, but then they paid out. And so, I mean, it's really been quite disconcerting for a lot of people who've invested in agro-partnerships. Now, as at the time in April, even after I got my payout from them, there've been multiple of these farm-type crowdfunding entities that have collected money from different crowdsourced investing groups and paid them, individuals or in groups, larger groups, and paid. And at some point, they stopped being able to pay, and some have still not paid to date. Although Thrive is an exception, and I think it's worth mentioning because they had, the management of Thrive really displayed a lot of integrity, by making sure, even though it took them upwards of 12 months to finish paying every single last investor, but we hear that they paid every single last investor. Thrive is no longer doing crowdfunding. I believe the business is transforming and they're doing more fintech. So definitely, I'm not paid by Thrive to say this, but I think it's worth giving them a shout out. When we see something good, we should talk about it. But we're coming back to agro-partnerships. So I know the question that's on a lot of Nigerians' minds and a lot of non-Nigerians who've invested in them is agro-partnerships a scam? Is this, have we been defrauded? Will we never see our money again? And I think before we delve into that, I think this is an opportunity for us to take a moment and step away and remember that businesses, even legitimate businesses, do fail, unfortunately. They do have cash flow problems. There can be issues of mismanagement of funds. And by mismanagement, I don't mean management taking a dipping hand and stealing the funds. Sometimes, misallocation of priorities. You pay for bills in the wrong sequence, thinking that, there'll be enough funds to meet your other obligations as they come on, and then something happens. And, farming is, no matter how we like to say, it's been, there's so much technology around it, but ultimately it is a divine process that can be impacted by floods, by weather, by drought, by famine, by blight. And, an entire tomato crop can be decimated by something as simple as blight. If roads are flooded, transportation can impact farming. And so there's so many things that can impact farming and cause a shortfall that could eventually be resolved, but in the short term or medium term, it could now impact and snowball and cause serious cash flow issues. So even if a company should have a reserve, they may not have a reserve. Maybe they've embarked on capital expansion and so their reserves are low. And so for a myriad of reasons, businesses that are legitimately run, that are doing real legitimate business, can fail. So let me talk about some of the things that I think Agropartnership has that should give us comfort to hope that hopefully we will get paid. So number one, as of October, from what I can see, from the SEC website, Agropartnerships has been registered and licensed by SEC. So because of that investment aspect that they continue to be involved in, they went the extra mile of having the SEC, which is a register, and governing and oversight body in Nigeria. They got registered and licensed with them. And I know that SEC would have done some due diligence. So even the investors who are concerned, you still have an opportunity to reach out to SEC, send emails, send complaints to them, and they can also force AgroPartners to come to the table. I think AgroPartners has a long track record in this market, about 4 years that they've been doing this and paying out. So I think if we look at their track record and the fact that no matter what delays have ever occurred in the past, they've usually paid out and usually pretty reliably. So I think that also gives us, cause for to be calm and not to panic. I think also the group structure or the sister company Farm Fort, which is also, in the family of Agropartnerships, is really doing well. And they have even an international presence in the Netherlands and in other markets, in other African countries. And those, if you just look up Farm Fort online, you'll see a lot of things that they're doing well and they're doing right. So I really want to think that those are the good things that Agropartnership has in its favor that makes me think that, this is probably or might potentially not just be an outright scam. Now, the things that are kind of hurting Agropartnerships, and I don't know if Osei is going to see this or the CEOs are going to see this because they have co-CEOs, so 2 CEOs, but the first thing is that communication sucks. You're not talking to your investors. You're not talking to us. You're not telling us what's going on. I'm a part of a few investment groups, and I find that they're very useful for sharing information, networking, being in that mental space of thinking about, what's going on in the Nigerian investment market. And both of the groups that I sat in meetings in this week, the co-CEO was supposed to show up, he didn't. And I don't understand why he wouldn't show up. So I think that the worst thing you can do at a time like this is not talk to your customers, not talk to your investors, not talk to your partners. Speak with us. People are going to be understandably upset. That's par for the course. And I think given everything that's happened, you should be able to buck up and take that. But what's important is they'll give you an opportunity to first speak. Get across those important messages you want to let us know. Is there a plan? If there's a plan, share it. But I was really disappointed when we heard in the meeting, both meetings, that they have 2 CEOs and neither of them can speak to us because they're both traveling. This is a global world now. You can talk to us on Zoom. And these were Zoom meetings, by the way, guys. So you can talk to us even if you're in the airport about to board your flight. You can, why don't you just tape a message and say, okay, just in case I'm not able to sit in, these are some of the common questions we've gotten from your groups, and these are our responses to them. Even that would go such a long way. There's an Agropartnerships YouTube channel. I went on to check. Nothing's been posted there except for the last 2 months. This would be a good time to use the platforms that you have to communicate, but communication from Agropartnerships, and I think that's the major problem, is the problem. So the lack of communication, the total blackout, is now allowing people's imaginations to just run wild. And of course, if you're going to let people pick, they're going to think it's the worst possible scenario. And unfortunately, in this market, people have had a really bad run of things, especially from a lot of these agri, farm, agri-tech, crowd-funded investment businesses. So it's really important that you think about what you can do about this total lack of communication. The second thing I would say that's making people nervous is, which you find in typical Ponzi schemes or investment scams, are some of the yields are too high. And so if I share honestly why I didn't reinvest with Agropartnerships, even though I got my money back in April, it primarily was because I just thought I put in, some money and I got a 40% return. I just thought this is not sustainable. I mean, if I was running a business today, which I am, and I need a loan, I'm starting up a new business today, and I need a loan to continue funding my business, I'm sorry. I think it's wicked that the banks in Nigeria even ask you for 20%. So really, why are you paying me 40% when you can just get a loan from the bank for that 6 months? And even in Nigeria, where interest is very high, pay the equivalent of maybe 12 or 15%. Why would you take on investment and guarantee me a payout of 40% or 30% or even 25% for 6 months? Those things, for me, I just think that they're unsustainable. And I know, and my prayer is that you guys work these things out cash flow wise. I know people love juicy investments where they can make 2%, 3%, 4% a month. But the reality is, I want Farm Fort and Agropartnerships to be here for 50 years. If you're going to be a 50-year, 100-year, 200-year business, giving out yields to investors for crowdsourcing of that magnitude, 40%, 30%, sorry, it's just not sustainable. And you're putting yourself under too much pressure. It only takes one mistake or one misplanned scheduled payment, and all of a sudden it's a snowball ripple-on effect, and you're defaulting on payments as you are right now. Another thing I would say that I also observed was that timelines for payments were too short. So if they were offering me 40% or even 80%, which is ridiculous, for a 12-month period, that would make sense. But for a 6-month period to be getting a payout of 40% or 30%, you only have 6 months. So even if anything goes wrong, you don't have a lot of cushion room. And now, in fairness, maybe a rice farm just takes 8 weeks to mature. But there's so much more that goes into running a business, which of course you know, but I'm sharing this with my viewers to remember that there's so much other things that go, the transportation, the treatment, the processing of some of these items. And then the mishaps. I mean, transportation, depending on the season, especially if it's in rainy season, for instance, transportation can increase not by double, but sometimes 4 times, 400% what it is during the dry season. So understanding some of these nuances and really giving yourself the room to be able to definitely comfortably meet every potential obligation. I think that you need to begin to think about expanding some of these timelines that you set out for the repayments as well. I think the fourth thing I wanted to talk about was, and I really think that this probably more than anything really impacted Agropartnerships in terms of their ability to meet the payouts for December. 2021 was a good year for many people, but it was also a really tough year for a lot of people. And as a lot of these agrotech crowdfunding investments, a lot of them fell by the wayside in 2020. And Agropartnership rose to the top and was able to distinguish themselves as really the leader in the pack. And so I can only imagine that the demand for people to invest in Agropartnerships skyrocketed. I mean, there's a point where you should stop taking investments, where you should not exceed the capital you can handle, because you may not be able to give that amount of capital the kind of returns you could give when it was a smaller amount. What I really want to, that's an aside, what I really want to hammer on is the fact that the timing of this payment, December, I don't know about anywhere else, but December in Nigeria, there's a great demand for money. It's the Yuletide season. People want to be able to spend freely. They want to be able to do Christmas. And so having a payment that was due on the 15th of December meant definitely 90% of those people are going to ask for a cash call. So even if previous investors were rolling over their investments with you, sorry, 15th of December, the only thing that investment is for Christmas. And so the need and the pain at that time for the vast majority of people who've invested with you was going to be great. It's going to be felt very greatly. So I think that also has what's caused this ripple on effect of so many people, probably more than usual, asking and demanding to cash out of their investments. And so I think that also has affected the cash flow of agro-partnerships. So in conclusion, to answer the question, is agro-partnerships a legitimate business that's having maybe cash flow problems? Or are they an outright scam and they've just stolen Nigerians' money? The truth is, I don't know. One, because Agropartnerships has not come forward to say anything to us about what's going on. But based on the historical information that they've shared, what I've seen of their books, what I've seen of the financial information, very limited financial information that they've shared, and the different investment groups who've done due diligences and have gone in to see their operations and whatnot, I would say that it appears that, looking at their business model, is there a need for what they do agriculture-wise? I would say yes. The industry, do we need rice? Do we need chicken? Do we need tomatoes? Do we need cassava? Do we need the kind of farms they offer? So on the face value of that, definitely. I mean, 200 million people, we definitely need that. Do they have their insurance in place? It appears to be, because they make reference and name their insurance, their insurers. And based on a lot of the things they're doing in the Netherlands and even in Ghana and outside of Nigeria, plus in Nigeria, their close relationship that they appear to have with the Edo State government, it appears that they're a legitimate business going concern. For that is what it appears like. So I wouldn't say that they're a scam, which is a false business that doesn't really do anything but collect money from Peter and use it to pay Jane. I think it would appear that they are a business going through severe cash flow challenges. How severe these cash flow challenges are, we can't say, but I'll say severe because for the management not to come forward and not have anything to say about how they're planning to manage this crisis, to me, and the fact that their app is down and has been down for several weeks now, I think speaks to the fact that if they have a plan, it's not a plan they feel they can share, and they're not proud or confident in whatever plan they have. So that's what makes me think that it's severe. But what I'd like to say is I'm rooting for Agropartnerships to overcome it. If Thrive could overcome it, transform, and they're still playing in the tech space and still getting clients and still moving from greater height to greater height, I believe every business goes through teething problems at some point in its existence, and this may just be the season for Agropartnerships. So with that, I hope this information has been helpful to you. I hope I've been able to clarify my perspective. And thank you once again to listening to me here at Good Eve. Bye for now.